Hello and welcome back to the Progressive Moose. I'm Andrew. On today's segment, I'll be covering the carbon tax. Before I get into this video, if anyone has been paying attention, the Conservative Party is essentially doing what's called a filibuster, where it's just they're holding up the whole legislative process for everything because of their stance on the carbon tax, which I'll admit they have some merit on the carbon tax. Okay, I don't fully disagree with them, but I don't fully agree with them, and I will fully admit that I don't fully agree with the Liberals on carbon tax and how it's been implemented. But so I don't take sides on that. But yes, it is more of a political video getting into the substance of this. So bear with me, and I will do my best to explain as we move forward. So with that being said, let me play this video, and we'll talk about it after.
It's been a long night for MPs in the House of Commons. They've been stuck in a marathon voting session, a filibuster of sorts, led by the opposition Conservatives. They're trying to get the Liberal government to drop its controversial carbon tax. CTV's Annie Berger-Oliver has the latest from Ottawa.
Ms. Thompson.
The Conservative protest over the carbon tax saw the parliamentary calendar skip an entire day.
We want to axe the tax, so we are requesting recorded division.
No question period, no committees.
Mr. Nugby.
Just voting for more than 24 hours.
If Justin Trudeau wants to get anything else passed with any kind of cooperation from other parties, in our case, he's going to have to axe the tax to provide that relief for Canadians.
The parliamentary roadblock started Thursday night.
The motion is to remove the carbon tax.
No, there's no unanimous consent.
In total, more than 100 spending items that normally get voted on in bulk, from military support for Ukraine to funding for Canada's anti-racism strategy, were recorded.
What the Conservatives are doing right now is so silly and absolutely ridiculous. This is not leadership.
But the Liberals did recently offer a carbon tax carve-out, providing a 3-year pause for users of home heating oil. The Prime Minister today, though, said the carbon tax is here to stay.
Have any intention on axing the carbon tax like the Conservatives want? Are you going to back down?
No, we're not axing the tax.
This parliamentary game has been done many times before, but this one brings light to a topic that isn't going away.
I think it's become a proxy for just affordability generally. I mean, it's the top issue when we ask Canadians what do they care most about.
And for the Conservative leader, who voted virtually for the first several hours, experts say it's a chance for videos like this that play well to his audience.
It's just a way for them to repackage what's going on and show it to their supporters and say, look, we are really trying to work on this for you.
The Conservatives say they will continue to put pressure on the government and are threatening to put forward amendments and votes at committee to further derail the parliamentary agenda. The House of Commons is set to rise for the holiday break, Marilla, next Friday.
Annie Berger-Oliver, thanks for that. So no.
All right, so that's the video. Let's kind of jump into that. There's a lot to unpack. There really is. The Conservatives are essentially holding up the whole legislative way of doing things. They're saying we're not going to allow anything to pass whatsoever until we get our way. Now, Andrew Scheer in his interview there, and I watched the interview live yesterday, and he blatantly says, like, in that video, go back and watch it, he blatantly says if Trudeau wants to get relief to Canadians, he has to budge. He has to give in to their demands. So if the Conservatives are actually worried about Canadians, why are they holding us hostage for their own agenda? Okay, mix that with, I mean, they made the point of, Pierre walking in with the McDonald's bags and holding them up. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that's just a PR stunt. They can get videos and pictures of that, and it makes them really look like they're working for Canadians. If you're working for Canadians, Where is the help? Why are you holding up different things that are actually going to help Canadians? That being said, the carbon tax not perfect. Are there good things about the carbon tax as it sits? Sure. One thing that's good, and economists agree that yes, the carbon tax as it sits, the ordinary Canadian home gets more back in rebates from the carbon tax than they pay into it. So, because of that, over 1 million children in Canada have been lifted out of poverty. Okay, so there have been benefits in that sense. Don't, like, call let's talk about the good when the good is there, okay? But the whole carbon tax, everything to do with the carbon tax, doesn't add up in my mind. So the top polluters in Canada, corporations, okay, let's make that distinction. Corporations, right? So I just told you that over 1 million Canadian children, so people, have been lifted out of poverty thanks to the rebates. Corporations, so the biggest polluters in Canada, get a 10%, essentially, like your first 10% of your pollution, don't worry about. You don't have to worry about paying the carbon tax on that. Okay. But then why are you then not giving that same that same treatment to farmers or smaller businesses, or because farmers are paying the full amount in terms of their portion of the carbon tax, right? So that I won't argue that a part of what we're seeing in terms of grocery prices or food prices is because of the carbon tax, whether it's because the farmers have to pay more out of pocket to the government, so they have to raise prices onto the companies that are moving the product from the farms around. Sure. And grocery stores, fine, they have to pay more in terms of carbon tax for their trucks and everything. Fine, I get that. But like I've said before, that doesn't account for the actual prices we're seeing right now. Yes, that accounts for some of it, but it doesn't account for what the whole overall what we're seeing for food prices right now. Okay. But I will say that yes, I don't think the carbon tax is done properly, because you do have the big corporations that are actually causing the most pollution, giving them a hall pass for 10% of their pollution. Meanwhile, farmers and everyone else are paying the full amount. Okay, so there are definitely criticisms of the carbon tax as it sits. The biggest problem we see is you have conservatives that are unwilling to move on their position whatsoever. And you have the liberals unwilling to move on their position whatsoever. So how is anything going to get done? I believe that a carbon tax can do good, can be good for Canada as a whole, if things are done right. Do I have the answers in that sense? No, but clearly the way it is now, it is flawed and it needs to be tweaked. So I won't argue with the conservatives on that. But their whole process of holding up our government legislatively so that nothing else can come down the pipes to Canadians, you're not for the Canadians if you're withholding things that are gonna help Canadians. Both parties, both sides of this debate need to come together, negotiate, talk it out, sit down and talk. Stop punishing Canadians because you can't get along. Enough, guys. Actually work for Canadians. On that note, till next time, everyone.